Okay, so look, 95% of businesses are at a disadvantage. And the reason is that loyalty programs are only serviced by about 5% of the market.
Speak up.
Okay, and what Point Catcher wants to do is rather than loyalty being focused on just that 5% of businesses, we want to bring loyalty to 5%. So why hasn't it been there? It's just that nobody's created a one-stop shop for loyalty. It's easy, that's affordable, that's available to everybody. Well, that's what we've done. So any business can sign up to Point Catcher, and within just a matter of minutes, whether they're a micro business, a small business, they can sign up and start issuing points to their customers, but they can also earn points from their vendors and suppliers. We make loyalty easy for the 95% of businesses that currently are being serviced by the loyalty marketplace. So, in the model that we're doing it in, it makes it that we can apply this loyalty to $18 trillion economy, and that's trillion with a T, and I'm Barbara with a B, and we're Point Catcher, and we're going to change the face of loyalty. Okay, so would you like me to go ahead and get started? So my company is Point Catcher. It's a market-wide approach to loyalty. Again, as I mentioned, currently right now, loyalty is focused on 5% of the marketplace. And this is what you see in that marketplace. It's those large corporate programs that everybody's used to. But when all these programs started, there was no standardization, to outline how these programs would develop. And so they all just developed sort of willy-nilly, all on their own, developing their own point values, their own redemption methods. But what it has created is this confusing mass of programs that are very, very difficult for the customers to manage. When we think about Point Catcher, that is absolutely not the model that we want to approach. There's only one aspect to this that works well, and those are the credit card programs. We can just earn points seamlessly. Point Catcher is for the entire marketplace, whether starting from the public sector, manufacturing, supply, service, retail, the same sort of principles that make loyalty good for the corporate sector, the customer retention, can absolutely be applied to any business across the marketplace. Take a look at this. Again, the 5%. If you look at loyalty right now, it's a $60 billion industry. But it really comes from this narrow marketplace of large corporate loyalty programs. Well, what about B2B? Small business B2C, or even B2G, business to government. I mean, think about the volume of purchasing that the government sector does. So instead of focusing on the small 5%, what about the rest of the place, the 95%? Well, how are we going to accomplish this? I said credit cards are the easiest mechanism by which to earn points that are currently available. So we want to make a program that's easy like the credit card programs. We want it low cost and accessible for all those small businesses out there. We want it compatible with the B2B marketplace and the public sector. And there's just way too many POS systems. Just forget about it. There's no way to integrate with the thousands of POS systems that are out there. Let me tell you how we're going to do it, how we're going to reach the marketplace. Number one, all transactions occur in what? They occur in dollars. But right now we have a points industry where points are all over the map. We're just standardizing it. We're making points like money, same units of value. That allows us to tap into everyday patterns of commerce. Secondly, how do you reach, hundreds or millions or even billions of people and businesses? Well, you look at models like Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. Not that we're trying to be them or not, but those are organic growth or accelerated growth models. So we're taking something like a loyalty program. If you look at Facebook, that's just a template, and they're all the same for every person. But the difference is it's a template for social network. We're creating the same sort of platform, but our template is for a loyalty program. We're combining a loyalty program with that sort of model. The other thing, if you think about a Facebook page or LinkedIn, at the very top of it, there's just a bar. So if you're on Facebook, you can find all your friends. If you're on LinkedIn, you can connect with professional people. Well, on our site, that's filled with the same company. It's called Factual. Factual supplies all the business data that populates Yelp and Yellow Pages. So for Point Catcher, day one, when we launched, which is November 7th, we literally had a directory listing of almost every business in the country. So that anybody who wants to create a loyalty network, they just join our system, use our template, and then find any business. and they can connect to businesses that are already members of Point Catcher, or they can invite them to join them on Point Catcher. It works both ways. Businesses can reach out to customers, customers can reach out to businesses. And lastly, there's something that also happens 100% of the time. Anytime there's a digital transaction, 100% of the time, that digital transaction is going to go through a bank system. It just is, and it's going to get reported. Well, we have a partnership platform with Intuit. So Intuit can see and send to us, bank level security, any digital transaction that occurs. So based on our dollar equivalent system, and I'm going to show you how points are accrued, but we have the ability to capture every transaction simply by customers linking their cards and calculate points. This model we have, we're in patent pending, and we've also trademarked a couple different things, including a point sign, because these are values. If you think of Bitcoin, if you think of dollars, they have symbols which denote them as a value. A point is a value as well. The only difference is, whereas money you can spend anywhere, points you can spend back at the business you issued to, but it's still a real value. So this is how it works. For a business, they just sign up to Point Catcher. They set a reward rate. The reward rate is just a percent. It's up to them. 2%, 5%, 10%, their choice. They pick a percent. Then they invite customers to follow their program, but they also engage their vendors so that they can earn points from their vendors. It's just as important for a business to issue points, engage and grow their customers, as it is to reduce their costs with their vendors and suppliers. And because of our model, they can do both. For the consumer, it's even easier. They just sign up, take the cards they're already using. They don't need anything different from us. Whatever cards they're already using, link them with bank level security with Intuit, and that's it. Then they start following member businesses and they just earn points that's funneling money back to those businesses. And just like I mentioned too, we are a directory. So just like the Yellow Pages, we've got this full-scale directory. But it's not only businesses that are members of Point Catcher, it's the other businesses too. So from this directory, let's say you want pizza, and you want to find pizza in Gainesville. You can search, and you're going to find all the pizza places in Gainesville. But any of them that are Point Catcher members, you're going to rise to the top of the blue flag, and you're going to be able to see, well, gosh, this one gives me 5% return, 10% return. That might factor in your decision making. It's like, where am I going for pizza? And you can't do this on Google. This doesn't exist anywhere else that you can make choice based on the reward and choose a company, how you want to spend your money. And think of this, right now, if people follow loyalty programs, they have a stack of cards they have to manage. But you don't have that with Point Catcher. You just have one account. You could follow 20 or 100. It's unlimited. However many businesses you want to follow, the only thing that changes is what's their reward rate. And you've got everything right there. And when you want to spend points, you just click Use Points, and those points will appear in a coupon with a dollar value. And you present that coupon, and when I say coupon, that's just a digital value. You present it on your phone. If you're paying the plumber, because remember, Point Catcher's all market sectors, who knows what the business you're going to be working? Your veterinary clinic, whatever, you want to mail in the bill to the plumber, you can mail it in with them. You're emailing the payment, you can email it in. You might be paying with Google Wallet. There's all different ways you can do this and spend the money. So how do we distinguish ourselves with our competitors? So let's look at this. All the way to the full market penetration, okay, compared to where loyalty programs are now. Most loyalty programs, they just dominate with the B2C space. But when you look at who does it for everybody, expensively compared to affordably, we're the only one up here, and we really are. You will not find anybody else that has this market reach. And just even something, when you start talking about B2G, you're talking about P-card, purchasing cards. We are literally the first company that's attaching this sort of capability to P-cards, purchasing cards. Nobody else has done this, and that's huge. Again, we're tying this model to an organic growth platform. Why wouldn't you put the power in the hands of people? If I wanted to create a sales force and be like Groupon and just slog around trying to create this whole marketplace, it would be so hard. The smart thing to do is that you just put it in a platform where people have the power. You let them grow their networks. They know where they shop. That's how you create power, and that's how you create exponential growth. You just give people the power and the tools to create the network. So how does Point Catcher make money? Right now, this is a temporary pricing model. We're at MVP, we're on MVP product, and we've got more work to do to know how to strategically and perfectly price this product. But we also have to have the technology to do algorithms to work the pricing. But right now, this is a pricing model that we started to just get us out the door. So it's tiered pricing. Customers are free, except that we don't want to leave the customers on the table. We're going to have abilities for customers to have value adds and different things to convert some of those customers into paid, subscriptions. But another thing, even though I said points have to be redeemed back at the business who issued them, they don't have to be redeemed by the same person. That value has to be spent back at that business, but who redeems it can change. And so we're going to make it so people can trade those points. And other things. And of course, the data that Point Catcher is going to have is staggering. Everybody that joins Point Catcher, whether they're a business or a consumer, that spending data that we're going to have. If you think about Yelp and Yellow Pages, just one little example of what we're going to be able to calculate here. Right now, people get star ratings on Yelp and Yellow Pages. They're abstract. From Point Catcher on our delivery, we're going to be able to show the actual rate of return of customers. It's going to be, a metric that shows the rate of return. But I mean, in terms of this, the data, that we're showing for B2B, B2C, B2G, this data is going to be incredible. So looking at our projections, honestly, this is a work in progress. This is something we really need to build out more. We're a little bit early. We're just finished that alpha testing, going into beta launching. I mean, this is some real number crunching that we really have to do. But it focuses in on the number of business subscriptions we're going to have, the customer value adds, and the value of the data, and other things that might come into play. As I mentioned, we've done our alpha, we're going to beta. These are the companies that are part of our beta. Our plans after our beta, we're in a new area of Tallahassee that's sort of a lot of innovation happening right now. That's where we're launching. But note 2 of my customers already. It's Leon County Government in the city of Tallahassee. And we're probably the first company that's been able to incorporate the public sector in a loyalty platform like this. But it makes sense. Sometimes you don't think, okay, how is that going to work? Well, they're huge spenders. So Leon County Government has already given me their spending data. I see all the places, public record, I see all the places they spend. They can have point relationships with these, vendors around town. And as a government entity, they also can earn points that offset their costs and save taxpayer money. I'm seeking $500,000. I just want to build a more comprehensive team. I'm doing it and I've got good developers, but clearly, operating officer, marketing officer, we need major marketing funds. We do need a sales team, but with the caveat that we're not Groupon. We don't need a sales team to go out and make all these deals. We've created a platform where people have the power to grow the network themselves. And of course, we'd have customer support. Our team right now is really pretty substantial team. I've got, of course, myself, but I've got a futurist, and he's a really sharp guy, and has been instrumental in providing, looking ahead, what are the best technologies and the way to go about this. I have very seasoned developers. The reason there are so many is the developers that I have, particularly as a startup, it's hard, I'm self-funded. It's hard as a startup to hire a corporation to build the technology for you. But despite that, I've amassed a very seasoned, capable group of developers that little by little, we're launch ready. We're going. We still got a lot more to do, but we're ready to go to market. And one more important thing to think about when you think about a points program. I mean, sometimes there's so many of them, sometimes people just, it's a lot of noise. But things like this matter. When you look at micro businesses, small businesses, you want something that's providing this kind of service to these groups. I'm applying for our Knight Foundation grant right now, and it's all about giving micro businesses and challenge communities these sort of capabilities. So anything we can do to support one small business helps support the communities in which we all live in, and that's something that's also very important in Point Catcher. So thank you, and Barbara, it's been a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Start with Duncan and go this way. All right.
Somehow, I may be wrong, but I think that this market seems like it's highly competitive. And so how do you plan to like raise us out about the noise? Because clearly, myself as a consumer and maintaining, I've done some of these point stuff and I lose it after a couple of months and like money to make still and then I'm with it. So how do you plan to keep
See,
keeping?
that's part of the problem.
Yeah, and that's what I want to know. So how do you?
So disjoints this way, okay, but how I plan to do it is through the, it sounds crazy, but I don't think it is. A lot of it's going to be through these state governments and institutions. Because I think they're wanting that. So as an example, Leon County Government meeting, I've already met with the executive director for the Florida Association of Counties. So I mean, the person that's the president of the Florida Association of Counties is the president of the National Association of Counties. So whether going through chambers of commerce, county governments, you know, it's a little bit different way to approach it, but I think it has an opportunity for scale.
So you're pretty much in like I guess I can see where you could use this as a model for subscription-based companies or organizations like chambers to get rid of subscriptions.
Say
I
again?
have to talk to you about that
Yeah.
further, but this finally using
Think of it this way too.
This-
So 94% of businesses are micro businesses. And no one is bigger than that. They're 94% of businesses. So you know, what we're able to do in just some really unique ways, I'm not getting my focus on the technical, I'm not focusing on Best Buy or CVS. I'm focusing on the other side. Because I think that's where the opportunity is. They've already got loyalty programs. I'm not saying they won't come around because this is a better platform, but they're not going to be my first approach. But say like from a community too, if you're a community, like we have some challenged communities, and you want to invigorate those communities and grow more buy local spending there, you know, this is something that's ready to just plug in on a business level, but also on a community level.
So, I just want to make sure I completely understand. So, you have a platform where a small business can go and say, I want to be one of these point collectors, and I want people to be able to collect points when they buy things at my business, and then I also want them to be able to spend their points. Okay. And technologically, how does that work from that point? You then have a consumer who signs up, attaches a credit card.
It's like surprisingly easy.
So they're just, you have a service out there that's just watching the transactions go by, and you're
Because I don't have
identifying.
to reinvent the wheel. Really, a lot
Joe
of
Schmo.
what Patrice is taking existing technologies and bringing it.
Okay.
So, into it, we're already doing this. It's just lucky
So
for
the
me.
same way Units is out identifying your transactions from all the crazy little code from the transaction, you're matching that to the local
So
business.
I'm paying input, and when there's a track transaction, they send it to me, and if it's with a Lincoln American business and a Lincoln American customer, if the business's reward rate is 10, and the customer spent $100, we're going to earn $10. 10 points equals $10. The difference is, remember, as a business, I think more, you know, sometimes it's hard to sort of catch on to the better, but eventually people will get it. It's much smarter for a business to discount points. If a business discounts with points, that value is only realized when the customer returns. If a business discounts with cash, that money just go and never come back again. It's a much smarter way to discount. But it sounds confusing at first, but it's really not that hard.
So,
That's me. Can you talk a little bit about how you plan to go to market? I heard your answer about, Chamber of Commerce and government, and to be honest, I don't follow how, maybe Chamber of Commerce can help make introductions, but Leon County, I'm not sure how they help you. And I just want to know, how do you plan to face the small businesses? You just
Yeah, I
started
think
your
that's something like, so how I face the small businesses, that we really do grow in direct sales contact. Just
doing a build a direct sales team to go face.
Yeah, to get it going, right. But then remember, once a business joins, they bring in their customers. But then what we hope that business does too, is that business brings in the vendors and suppliers. And that's the whole sort of accelerated growth model. You put the power in the hands of people to help grow that network. So I probably will be approaching it from lots of different angles, you know, but I don't want to leave the government thing on the table, because like I was saying, the government, like when you look through Leon County government, it just gives me a platform to reach out to all the businesses that they follow and get them all on board, hopefully all at once, for this relationship with the county, and the same thing with the city of Tallahassee. It's just a one-to-many thing, just like the chambers. And as another example, FAMU, they want to use it for their ticketing sales. They want to encourage more people, and they want to be the first ones to do this. They want to encourage more people to go to FAMU sporting events, so they're going to sign up for Point Catcher, and everybody who does ticketing stuff at FAMU. You know, so these are the kind of ways in the outreach that we're doing. But also trying to reach out to community sort of things, and thinking of it from a community standpoint to push a by local movement. I want to say, like, I don't want to say like throw spaghetti at a wall and see what sticks, but I'm trying lots of different things, and we'll see what works the best.
No.
Okay, I'm trying to digest the whole thing. Okay, so basically, it doesn't apply to cash sales, right? Or cash or check sales.
We actually have a mechanism to do that. So the primary focus of our platform, just because it's so easy and automated, is through the Intuit, and that's through the cash check, or, you know, is through any digital transaction. But yes, there is a way for any business that wants to issue points for cash, they can do that. It's all built right in, and it's much more complex than you think. Like, every employee has a PIN number. So if a business, you know, if they purely deal in cash and check, all they need is a person's phone number. They just type it in, the phone number, the PIN number of the employee, the amount of the sale, and it calculates the points.
Of the employee. The PIN
Well,
number.
no, it's just like the PIN number, there's a PIN number system that tracks any employee action. Just because since you are treating points like money, you need to have a trail of who's done what actions. But there is a mechanism for companies that do a lot of paper check and cash, although that is like rapidly changing. The primary focus for us is digital, but it can work for cash and
Because
check.
you're talking about a lot of small vendors.
Yeah.
And especially if you're talking about service providers, when you mentioned plumbers, I don't know that I've ever used a plumber that wants me to pay with a credit card.
Yeah,
Pay,
they
you
can-
know, I mean, there's a lot of those kinds of people in the mix. If you're talking about people that are so.
And you know what a plumber can do? All he has to do when you pay, say you pay your plumber and he's right there, or if he's at home, all the plumber has to do is type in your phone number, the amount spent, his PIN number, and enter. That's it.
So my other question, I guess the main question is, I mean, it sounds like a great idea. I didn't really understand the competition slide. I mean, I think it's a very competitive space, and that's what I guess my question is, you know, with all these programs and so many programs, I understand you're trying to go after people that can't afford to put their own rewards programs in place. But how are you going to sell it to them? I mean, how are you going to reach those people? How are you going to get them to subscribe? That's a lot of little people. I mean, little people, a lot of small business. You're talking about micro enterprises, right? You're not, I mean, I don't know what size, but I also, so two things is one, you know, how are you going to reach them and get them to buy from you unless they're in your backyard? That's one thing, but to get people that are across the state or across the country to buy it, how are you going to do that without a lot of money? And then the second thing is, how are you going to, I mean, I think the sales pitch is tough. You know, I'm a small business, and I don't know if I want to spend $50 on a customer loyalty program that's $600 a year when I don't, you know, I mean, it's just.
Well, it would be cheaper than punch cards. I mean, you could get punch cards, you know, maybe, but I don't even think you can get punch cards for that cheap. But it depends. I mean, that's the average price is $50, but I mean, it could be if you're a micro business, it starts out at $39. It is cheaper than punch cards, way more effective, but there's also far more capabilities, because once you follow a program.
Okay, but let's just get away from the technology a little bit. How are you going to do marketing? There's no marketing plan. There's no budget for marketing. How are you going to get it into? How are you going to scale the technology?
I think that's why the whole thing with getting into community sort of approach makes a lot of sense.
But even then, how are you going to do that?
Well, just for an example, the city of Tallahassee, Leon County.
But how are you going to do it for places that you don't live in or that are not in your backyard? So let's go into Atlanta. Let's go to Chicago. How are you going to get it into? How are you going to scale it?
Well, I think I have to, right now, I think I have to start locally, but I think I do think the whole sort of public sector approach has merit, as does like the whole chamber approach or just the whole one-to-many thing. I mean, all this stuff is hard. I think strategic partnerships are really important. You know, people that have a reason to want, you know, to try to get partnerships, even deeper partnerships with companies like Intuit that service small business. I think there's some critical partnerships that need to be developed. But is it easy? No.
Yeah. And I think it would be important to really try to put a number on those things. What are the activities? What's the timeline? Who's going to do it? How much is it going to cost? There's travel involved. Is there trade shows? You know, you're talking about a really big, huge, diverse market.
It is. I can add this in too. So I'm a veteran and a woman. And one of the other things we're doing, because we're a directory, and this seems sort of unrelated, but it really isn't. So as part of a lot of the programs that I've been involved with veteran and for women, is the whole supplier diversity movement. Well, so I'm already in talks with a bunch of different groups, including the state of Florida, for supplier diversity pilot program. Because we have this directory, you know, we can also have an API that feeds and shows all the supplier diverse organizations. So, you know, that's one more avenue, the one-to-many, working through the Women's Network, the Supply Diversity Veterans, you know, ways to just try to push it out. There is no national network for supplier diversity. I just didn't bring it up originally because like, it goes in a lot of direction, but it actually ties in to a lot of stuff that we're doing.
Do you know, you didn't show financial projections, but do you know what your marketing and technology costs are probably going to be over the next 3
I
years?
really don't. I really, you know, just,
I think that's going to need to be super huge.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So,
And, those are all things I have to, one of the things that I struggle with now is I'm just a very small team with a big idea. And right now I'm just trying to get us out the door, get some traction, get some proof of concept, and build a team.
yeah, and the folks that you're currently using right now that are testing this, are these paying customers or just purely beta testing?
I mean, we're just literally launching.
So they're not paying anything.
Yeah, but they will be. I mean, they will be very, very soon as part of that. They get 1 month free, but as part of the beta, they get a free for the beta, and then they go into paid membership.
And is your subscription fixed contract, or is it just month to month and cancel fees kind of thing?
Month to month, cancel the fees. I mean, we'll probably do something where you have like a yearly, you know, like get a little bit of a break if you do a year subscription. But remember, we just did a small alpha, we're just going to the beta, so we're early, but we're, you know, making some progress.
So there's a new points loyalty system that tries to do somewhat what you're doing. I don't know much about it, but I saw it advertised, where it takes like 25 or 30 different companies and combines them together. Are you familiar with this?
Like plenty?
Plenty, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So so is this, what's the difference between this and
Okay,
Plenty?
so plenty is through American Express. So in order for anybody, because I don't know if you know, a lot of companies don't like to take American Express. It's very expensive, but it's great for the consumer, but it's very expensive for the business. So this is a program through Plenty to try to grow Plenty. They have to get buy-in from the businesses, but there will be winners and losers. You know, because so if a loyalty program, you have to think about as a business, am I going to come out okay on this? That I have to take in someone else's points to get spent in my business. It's great for American Express, but I'm not sure
Well, do you have to use an American Express card or
you
no?
have to use American Express.
Well, or you can use the credit card of the company. So